Hey guys, I'm so excited for International Scrapbook Day. I hope that you'll join me tomorrow in my Facebook group. Today I wanted to show you the kit that I'm making that will be part of one of the challenges that I'll have in my group tomorrow. I really wanted to create a kit that was based on using up some stuff that you already have and also using scraps. I'm not going to use full sheets of paper. We'll talk about that in a second. I wanted to show you where this particular kit started and then my kind of scrap kit recipe. I have a little list here which I will leave in the video description. But the first thing is, and I chose this, was something I want to use up. And this is where the whole kit got started. This is the item in my stash that I want to get used. It's falling apart everywhere. It's driving me crazy. I still think it's cute, so I want to use it. And I have seen this recently at Tuesday morning, so if you don't have this, you might even still be able to find it if you still like it. But I want to get this used up. It's driving me crazy. You can see that I've like taped the bag. The pieces are falling apart. I gotta use it. So that is the first thing. The next thing that I wanted to do was something that would coordinate with this, that would add to this. And it's the second thing on my list, which is use something that you keep forgetting that you have. And for me, it is this sheet of stickers from Photoplay paper from their Stuck on You collection. Now I chose these because they have the aqua and the red, and I thought that I could use, and they have yellow too. They're a little bit different, but I felt like I could use these together, or at least with, I could put lots more stuff in the kit that would go with either this or this. So I wanted to include this. So this is something that I keep forgetting I have. I've used a couple of items off of here and then it's just sat in my stash and I keep forgetting about it. So I want to use this up. It's really cute and I don't want to keep forgetting about it. So the next thing that I wanted to include is something that I need to use more often. And for me, that's washi tape. And so I chose 3 washi tapes from my stash. These are, I don't know where this plain colored one is from, but these other 2 are Maggie Holmes washi tapes. And they match these colors perfectly. I mean, one's black and white, which is great, and then the other one's just a pink polka dot. And then we've got the aqua, of course. So I thought I would throw those in here. They're 3 different widths. This one is a little bit thinner than this one, so that is the next thing on my list, is something I need to use more often. The next thing I wanted to include is something old. So something that's been either sitting around in my stash. I actually begged this off my friend Marta. Marta, if you're watching, this is an old package of basic gray slide frames, and I just love these. I still love them. They are from 2013, but I'm sure that you probably have something sitting in your stash that's older that you could throw into your kit. And I thought this would be perfect because the colors work really nicely, and I think that pairing these frames, which are a little bit more vintagey, with the bright colors of this will really help uplift it. So that was my next thing, something old. Now the other thing that I think is important is for you to include something new, something you're excited about. And I went back and forth on this a little bit, and I have 2 things kind of. One of them is this new Chamel stamp set from Sparkle City. This is something new. I don't want to forget to use it, and I just think it will be fun and a challenge for me to incorporate these smaller icons into my scrapbook layouts, and so I wanted to include this. But the other thing, this isn't new, but I've never used it, so it's new to me. It came out last year, are these really cute Pink Fresh Studio mini puffy alpha stickers from their Indigo Hills 2 collection. Now, the purple I feel like probably won't work for this, but the aqua and the pink definitely will, and maybe even the navy. So I'm going to include this, and that is that goes with something that's my next item on my list, is titling options. So what I did for this was, because I had these Dear Lizzie thickers that I wanted to get rid of, I remembered that I had also these Dear Lizzie giant words. Now they're from a different collection, but I still have, I think I've used 1 or 2 of them. And so I want to use these, and I love them, so what better time than now? And they're white, so they match everything, and I can color them if I want to. My next titling option little thing was this sticker sheet from Ellie Studio. I don't use red a lot, but look, there's a lot of red in here. And so I wanted to include some red, and you can see that these letters are a little bit used up, and so I thought I would try to see if I could use them up a little bit more here. And then the last thing that I'm including for titling options is this old Heidi Swapp sticker sheet. I still love this. It's their enamel stickers, and I just thought the pop of black would be nice, and I like to have lots of titling options. So between these, I should be pretty good. Now, the next thing that I need to include is something. I like to have something that's not a sticker, and so I wanted to include some die cuts. So what I did was I went through, I keep my die cuts in these photo cases that are by not collection, but by manufacturer or signature designer. So I have all my Dear Lizzie stuff in one bin. Now I don't remember which collections go together necessarily, but I knew that I had bought the die cuts for this collection once upon a time. So I went through and I picked out the pieces that I thought went with this, or that I felt like went with what I had already gathered. And so I have those in here. Now some of them I know for sure go with it. It's called the Fine and Dandy collection, and you can see how well that matches. So some of the things I was pretty sure about. Other things I just threw in because I thought they would look nice. And then I also pulled in those die cuts. She sold sets of these words, and so this is, I guess, another titling option, which I don't really need this many titling options, but it's my kit, so I can put what I want in it, and you feel free to do the same. But I just threw these in as well, so I have a bunch of those. So these are my die cut options for this kit, and I just pulled from my Dear Lizzie die cuts. So I like to have a lot of variety because I like to have a lot of different things going on. So the next thing I wanted was something with a little bit of texture that would bring a different dimension to my pages. And for me, that was something else that I had bought that I hadn't used yet, and these are Bo Bunny laser cut chipboard leaves, and I thought that these would go well with this. There's lots of like florals and birds on this particular sticker sheet, and so I thought I could work these in. The other thing I like to do is have something to dot around, whether that's enamel dots or little word stickers or something like that. And so I pulled a couple of different things. These are other things that I need to get used up. These are some older Studio Calico Vellum stars, so those are really great to dot around a layout, and I just have 2 sheets of the same one, so I just pulled them both. And then I also pulled these word stickers from Freckled Fawn. The colors matched perfectly. I felt like it has the yellow, the red, I don't know if that's black or dark blue, but either way, and it has aqua and green, and so those are the colors that are in kind of the colors that I've pulled, so that worked out well. Now, lastly, before we get to the papers, because I want to talk about the papers, there's one other thing, well, 2 other things. 3? This is another thing I wanted to dot around. So I have those. You can do whatever you want in your kit. Options are what I like, but if you don't need as many options, don't include as much stuff as I did. I always feel like I include plenty and then I end up adding stuff, so this time I just decided to grab things if I felt like it would work. I wanted to also use this. This is something that I got from Studio Calico quite a while back that I thought would work well with this, because I know that there were clouds on this sticker sheet, and I think it would just be kind of a fun, whimsical thing to include with this particular kit. It is a screen so that you can pull paint through this and you get that print on your background, so I'll be using that. But the last thing I wanted to include before we get to papers is some 3x4 and 4x6 pocket page cards, because I know that a lot of us have those and maybe don't do Project Life. I've had a lot of requests to do another series on using those on layouts, and so I just pulled, I literally just grabbed a stack and went through them and figured out what would go with this. I didn't want to choose too many, so I think I have like 12 3x4 cards and 3 4x6 cards. So I just pulled random ones from my stash. Some of them have rounded corners, but I pulled ones that I thought would work here based on color. So these are Studio Calico. These are some Felicity Jane. I pulled a lot of black and white ones. Aqua. There's a little yellow. Some wood. This is from Freckled Fawn. I thought that matched well with that. Or I've got red on the background. And then these three are from Allie Edwards. They're just, that one's a quote, and then these two I thought I could cut out to put on layouts as well. So I like using 3x4 cards on my layouts, and I think it's a good way to use them up, to put them in a kit to remind yourself to use them. So I did that. And now let's get to the paper. Before I get to the scraps, I am going to include one full-size piece of patterned paper, and that is something that I can cut up and use for embellishment. You could choose anything. I chose this from Dear Lizzy because I knew that I had based this whole thing on Dear Lizzy, and I liked the black doodly because it brings in the doodled words from here, but it also brings in the doodly lines from this sticker sheet, and I just felt like it would be a really good match. And then if I want to use the back for scraps, it matches as well. So I'm doing that. I'm just adding a bunch of white cardstock in because that's probably what I'll base my layouts on. If you don't use white cardstock for your bases, feel free to pull whatever you would use for a base for a layout, but I'm going to go ahead now and go through some scraps, and I will show you how I'm going to pull those. I'm not going to leave everything out on my desk while I'm pulling stuff, but I'm going to leave out the couple of main things that I know will have an impact on the colors, and so I'm going to leave out the sticker sheet, and I'm going to leave out the thickers that I started with, and then I think that's enough for me to get an idea for the papers and the patterns that I want to pull for my scrap papers that I'm going to use for this kit. So let's go ahead and I will pull those out. Okay, so I pulled out a stack of my scraps. Now I keep my scraps in a drawer next to my desk, and I keep the majority of them, if they're full length 12 inches, I like to keep them by height, at least pretty much, so you can see these are smaller strips and then these go up to bigger pieces. And so I'm just going to quickly flip through these and see what might match with some of the things that I've got. And I'm not going to take too much time deciding because these are just such small pieces. But like, I'm going to pull that. If it catches my eye, I'm just going to grab it. I like to have a wood grain, so I'm going to pull that. I thought it would be helpful for you maybe for me to keep this in. I like that this is like a single color. Now I don't want too many more small pieces like this, so I'm going to kind of flip through the next little bit of it quickly. I do like that. I like both sides of that, but that color doesn't really match, but this does. That has a lot of red and the white on the back. I like that. So it doesn't matter to me how old it or new it is. Now I want to get something specifically that feels more like the Dear Lizzy, so I'm just kind of keeping an eye out for that. And I'm just gonna, like I said, flip through fairly quickly. I will pull out a whole bunch of stuff, and then I will kind of go through and talk about it a little bit, because there are certain times where I'll pull things for certain reasons, and I want to make sure I have a good variety of patterns that work well together. So what I'm doing right now is just pulling out all the different patterns that there are, kind of, and then I will go back through and see what makes sense to actually keep in my kit. No, so I will fast forward this a little bit so that you don't have to watch me do it exactly. Alright, so you can see from the scraps that I pulled, I have a ton here. And if you wanted to, you could just leave all of this paper and use it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to first specifically pick out the ones that really, really match and the ones that I know I can really use. So for example, for me, that's going to be these butterflies because I know I can fussy cut them and use them for embellishment. I think there's a lot of the colors in here and I can get that used, or I can use the other side. So this is a for sure for me. So what I'm going to do as I pull the papers that I think will for sure work is I am going to, let's do this. I'm going to layer them up with this original paper that I chose, and you'll see how it all comes together. So I'm going to pull in some red. I'm going to pull in the red hearts, and then I want to find a way to bring those two together. And I really love this paper here. I love both sides of this paper. This has a little bit of something going on, but I'm going to pull this in as well, and that's going to bring in a variety of colors there. And I'm just going to put these two here so I can separate these colors. Now, the other thing I want to make sure I do is get a good variety of patterns to mix. And so I want there to be small patterns and larger patterns, floral patterns, polka dot patterns. And so I am thinking about that as well. I'm going to pull in this dot pattern, but I'm going to put it over to the side because I want to show you how you can make sure that you get a good variety here. So I'm going to pull in this plain piece here. I want to make sure I get the wood grain in. So these are just small pieces, but they will all work together. I want to pull in some yellow, so I've got this here. And every piece doesn't have to match with every single other piece. I'm going to pull in this one because I know that there's some blue going on in the sticker sheet specifically. In fact, let's go ahead and stick the sticker sheet to the side here. And then we'll also, let's see if you can even see that. I'm going to stick this down here so, well, I'll just stick it here for a minute so we can get the reference of the colors going on. I want a few more patterns that are more simple. So I'm going to pull this pink one. It matches really well with these stickers specifically. And it gives us a nice little kind of rest of flat color. I also want to pull in some green because there is green in the sticker sheet here. And so I'm going to pull in this stripe. And you can pull in really as many colors and patterns as you feel comfortable with. It really doesn't matter. I do want to pull this one in. It is a Dear Lizzie pattern, and so I know it will coordinate well with the stickers there, and the other side coordinates too. So I'm going to do that. Let's slide that under. And I want to pull in this because this is just an interesting, this is actually from packaging from some Vicky Boutin mixed media paper, but it has a rainbow of colors and I just think it'll be fun to include. So that's another thing I'm paying attention to, is things that I can use that are a little bit different. So things that I can cut up, things that, different variety of pattern styles. I'm also going to include things that, like, I put some mist on the background of this and then didn't use it, but it will work well in this kit, and it's a little bent up, which I like for my layers, so that will be fine. And let's see, what else do I want to include? There was another one I specifically wanted to include, and I wanted to show you because it has something on it. Let's see. Well, I want to include this because I have kept this forever and I just want to use this as kind of a whole piece. I don't know what story I'll tell with this, but I just like it and I want to try to use it. So I'm including that, and we'll see if it gets used or not. The other thing I wanted to include, that there's a couple things. This particular thing, I can cut apart the words. So if you wanted to include less alphabets and things like that, you could choose papers where you could cut them up. This one also, I can use the envelopes as layering pieces, or I can use this as a whole piece. The back also has some red on it, so I feel like that will work fine in here too. I'm thinking still about some plainer patterns that I can pull. There's a couple that have cut aparts, so I wanted to include this specifically. I know it kind of coordinates well with this. I think it might be from the same line, but I'm not sure. But the back of it is just a nice dot anyway, so I can pull that. And then this is from a Dear Lizzie 6x6 paper pad, and so that matches that as well. So I'm pulling those in. So there's a little bit more of our pink. Now I don't want to lose the red, so I'm going to pull something in that has a little bit more red to it. So I'm thinking about that, and let's see what we can find. I'm also thinking that this would be a fun one to kind of feature on a page. So I'm going to pull that in. I'm thinking about how I can layer these up to create something interesting. Now this has red in it and pink, so that's a good one to include, and it has that sketchy style, so on the layouts where I create that sketchy style, I can include something like that. Again, this is from a Dear Lizzie paper pad, so I feel like that will work. I don't want to get too many more. Now this one I like the idea of because I could use this side or I could use the hearts on the other side. Both sides would work, so something like that is very appealing to me. This is just another Dear Lizzie paper that I feel like could work. This is actually, I bought this pad of, it's like a, what is it? Like where you would write your, it's like for a restaurant where they would take the notes of what the table wanted. I thought that would be fun to include. And then this is a piece of a cut apart 3x4 card, and it just has 1 through 5, so I'm going to put that in there. I have a little random piece of vellum I'm going to include. I think I want to include this green paper. I could use the back side too if I want to, but really I'm thinking about these bold stripes. And then I do want a little bit more black and white, so I'm going to include this paper that's black. That will be a nice pop. I have another little piece of that wood grain, so I'm going to include another piece in case I need more. And then here's another little pop of black and white with that sketchy kind of style. So I'm going to include that. And I was thinking about this one, but I don't think, well, let's go ahead. You know, sometimes we can include as much as we want. The last thing I'm kind of looking for, I need a couple larger pieces. So I do have some larger pieces back here. This one is from a Dear Lizzie collection, and I feel like it would work well, especially look at how it looks with those butterflies. I know I have a lot of florals already, but I'm going to go ahead and include that. I like this one from Maggie Holmes. Again, I need another large piece. I'm thinking about this one as well. It has the florals and it also has gold, and so I'm going to include that. This is a lot of stuff. It's okay. This is from a Dear Lizzie polka dot party, and so I know it will match with the other Dear Lizzie stuff. And I just love these little cameras. I always have, so I've always kept that. I'm going to go ahead and include that. And then I also really love this one from Chamel Starshine that has the clouds. I could cut out the clouds, or I could use the background. There's also a cloud branding strip. I just like a lot of what that could bring to this little collection of papers here. Now I do want one more little way that I could add red. I have this polka dot. It's more of a pinky red, so I'm not thinking I want to do that. But I do like the idea of this pattern here. And it's very subtle, but it brings in the red. I would like another pattern that has red and more colors in it. I don't know if I'll get it. I have this, but I'm not sure about it. I think I will include it because I could cut this up and use it. I also have these gold frames which could bring in some more gold. So I think that's where I'm going to call it good. Let's just go ahead and throw that little piece in here too. You can really keep going if you want to. Look, I have this little piece of red too. Might as well. Actually, let's include a larger piece. There we go. Okay, so that's where I'm calling this good. You can keep adding if you want to. So I'll just pull it all together and show you how it's looking with the different patterns and colors. I think it's going to work pretty well. Got those. We've got lots of reds, a little bit of pink. I think this is going to take me a long way on a bunch of pages, actually. So I think it will work nicely. Look at all that stuff. Okay, so that is the kit that I will be using. So if you would like to play along with me on Saturday in my Facebook group, the Facebook group is linked below. I will add you if you go and request to join. And we're going to be having challenges and giveaways and all stuff all day on Saturday for National Scrapbook Day. So I hope that you'll join in and pull some things together that you have had in your stash wanting to get used up, and use your scraps to create a kit. And we'll see you there.